Welcome to podcast number 2 here at Anytime Fitness Lakewood. This is personal trainer Matthew Fogle with you, sitting here in the club today with a very special guest, Kerrin Going, who is a registered and licensed dietitian with Brooks Rehabilitation Hospital. Kerrin, we have a lot of members who are interested in nutrition. We are very interested in nutrition here, so it's great to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Matthew. Great to be here.
Okay, so as a registered and licensed dietitian, you get to talk to a lot of people about nutrition, whether it's their general health or whether it's a clinical issue that they're having. You can help use nutrition to help alleviate problems in those areas. So we can discuss a lot in this 3-part podcast, and so this is going to be part 1. And so first of all, let's kind of go into your background, like what got you into nutrition?
Well, I went to the University of Maryland in College Park, and there I started taking classes in nutrition and dietetics, fell in love with the whole curriculum, decided to go on for grad school, went over to Pennsylvania, Marywood University, and there I decided that growing up in a family where half our family members were obese, I realized that there was a concern. And as I'm sitting in my sophomore year in college, taking the biology class, there is where I really learned about nutrition. So it was a twofold that became a passion of mine, to help my family and also to be able to help others and give them tools on how to stay healthy, get healthy, and live a healthier lifestyle.
Was that something that I would imagine it would be hard the more that you were learning that early on, even just getting the basics of the classes, the nutritional classes, and then going home for maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas and being around family members who were just eating the same ways and you were changing and you knew some philosophies, and I'm sure that was hard.
It was, and they always question me as to why I'm eating what I'm eating. But I was developing my own eating lifestyle and hoping that they would catch on, but received a lot of questions about that.
Yeah. Were you subconsciously interested in nutrition, like growing up as like a teenager? Did you eat kind of healthy, or were you like into Pop-Tarts?
Oh, no. I mean, I was your candy-holic.
Okay.
Loved my licorice.
Gotcha.
I have probably cavities to show from it.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I got to college that I was on my own, and here I was studying these classes, and then I realized, wow, what an impact this can be.
Right.
And I just started changing my own personal habits, my eating habits, and once I did that, I really wanted to help others do the same.
Right. Did it surprise you, like how in-depth? Because, I mean, when we're talking about nutrition, we are talking about processes that happen in the human body, which is not a simple thing at all. It's a very, very, very complex thing. So, I mean, we do have to just address the fact that there are people in our society that take a half-hour course and start teaching others about nutrition, and that's a very dangerous thing to do because we're talking about a science. We're talking about almost medically based, and when you're talking about RD, it is medically based. And so did it surprise you, like how deep the knowledge is?
Yes. When once I got into it, I didn't have any idea of how long it would what it would require. So it was 4 years of undergraduate, 2 years of graduate school, in addition to an internship. So like you said, the science, it was heavy sciences, biochemistry, microbiology, organic chemistry. So the deeper I got involved into it, it was incredible knowledge.
Right.
Incredible.
All right. Did you hear that, listener? 6 years of schooling. We don't pull any punches here at Anytime Fitness Lakewood. We always we're going to point out the fact that what we do here is very important, and it takes time to learn it.
It sure does. And then you have to sit for your boards to become certified, registered, and then licensed on top of that. So the main thing was to get my credentials, to get the knowledge base, to create the foundation that I would have to actually help others and have the credibility to teach others about nutrition.
Yeah, and that's probably, I'm just guessing, might be the hardest part, because we could talk about the detailed science between tomatoes and potatoes all day long, but if people are still eating fast food, that doesn't, I mean, it's not going to compute.
No. Not at all. Not at all. And there are a lot of people out there that may have a basic knowledge and call themselves nutritionists.
Right.
But there's a reason why you have registered and licensed dietitian, because that you really do have that education background behind you.
Okay. And so, again, you can do clinical nutritional. I mean, if somebody has diabetes, you can use nutrition to help alleviate diabetic issues. Correct?
Oh, yeah. Medical nutrition therapy is part of the key to healing. And so I work with a lot of diabetics who have renal conditions, a lot of obese patients, patients who have strokes, patients with heart attacks, patients have liver transplants, heart transplants. So the key to healing is not only the medicine side to it, but also providing the nutrients to heal, the compromised body.
I think the numbers now are around like 70% of the U.S. population overweight or obese.
Yes.
Which I guess would be a body mass index above 25 for those numbers.
Yes.
And so what do you think is the cause for that?
To be honest with you, Matthew, there's one word.
Okay.
Sugar.
Okay.
The public enemy number one.
Okay.
Truly. And it's disguised in all areas.
It's not just pixie sticks.
No. No. It could be your, unfortunately, sweeteners. It's disguised in all different foods. It's in everything today. And unfortunately, many of us are not even aware of what we're eating that's containing sugar. But I always believe that if you can tackle sugar in your eating habits, everything else gets taken care of.
Okay. And so over the past 30 years, sugar has been just kind of implemented in a little bit more types of foods all over the place. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's in every food we eat, just about. And if you go into fast foods, it's in fast foods. If you go into healthy foods, it goes into healthy foods. The whole key is to becoming the detective.
Okay.
And finding exactly where is it on the ingredient list. Is it number 3 or is it the bottom of the list?
Okay.
Okay. Or does it end in OSE? Glucose, fructose. Those are key sugar words.
Okay. Now, I know there was a debate a few years ago between like high fructose corn syrup and things of that nature. Where's your stance on that? Because in general, like I think if somebody takes out high fructose corn syrup, they just replace it with something else, don't they, most of the time? I mean, it's just a different type of sugar.
It's just a different type of sugar. But high fructose corn syrup is deadly. It really is. So if you can get that out of your diet, that is excellent. And that's in a lot of processed foods. And so that's a great place to start, is really cleaning up your diet by eliminating a lot of processed foods, including processed grains, processed sugars, all that.
Okay. And so we can get more into change. Like when you speak with a client, I would imagine some of them have been eating the way they've been eating all their life. I mean, depending on regardless of their age. And so when they come to you, you've got to change habits that have been ingrained for a long, long time. Where do you start?
Right. And that's the sad part, because when they come to me, a lot of damage has already been done. And so depending on their medical history, if they have the diabetes and they've been non-compliant with their diet, that's the area where we have to start, taking a look at their eating habits. You can't do everything overnight, but just sitting down with somebody and asking them, what did you have to eat today? Tell me about what you had. You can kind of see what everybody is eating. And so if somebody is eating constantly through the day, what's happening is the insulin is being produced, which is a fat-storing hormone, and actually it's creating fat to be stored in the body.
Right.
So the name of the game with diabetics is it's not really a sugar problem, it's an insulin problem. So we would want to get their insulin levels low as possible so that they're not burning sugar and they're not storing fat.
Gotcha. And there's all kinds of foods and things of that nature to alleviate that. Like if it were the first session, what are the foods that you would say to start implementing like right off the bat?
Stop going to fast food places. Stop your processed foods, your snacks, your potato chips, your candy. What else? Your processed grains, white bread, sometimes even whole wheat bread, whole grain bread. All that adds to sugar. Everything is being converted to sugar. So honestly, when you have a piece of whole grain bread, people think they're doing well by eating that.
Right.
However, everything turns to sugar. So What I'd like to do is actually encourage people to decrease the amount of carbohydrates that they're eating, increase their fiber, and increase their healthy fats so that they can actually sustain their appetite and yet let the fiber keep them full until they eat at the next meal.
Do you believe that it's easier to implement changes gradually or just radically? Like you're like, here's a new food plan, like go for it.
Well, unfortunately, everybody wants that instant gratification, and everybody wants to lose weight very quickly. But being realistic about it, it's a gradual change. It's changing eating habits. It's changing one meal at a time. So maybe focusing on a healthier breakfast versus not even eating breakfast. Or maybe once they master that meal, move on to make some small changes for lunch, including more vegetables. If somebody's not eating a lot of vegetables, that's a great way to start incorporating that into their daily eating habits.
But I don't like any vegetables. That's what you'll hear, right?
Absolutely. I hear it all the time, but there's a way to go about it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you like to drink liquids? Sure. Okay. So that's a great way to start pulling in some vegetable powder and mixing it with water, mixing it with almond milk, mixing it with coconut milk. And just because you're not eating vegetables, there's lots of antioxidants, lots of phytonutrients in there, lots of vitamins and minerals. So that's a great way. Why not drink your vegetables?
Very good. Very good. And we'll get more into the next 2 podcasts. We'll dive more into some more specifics on ways that people can use food and nutrition to lose weight or even gain weight and some other things of that nature. Last question for this podcast, though. Maybe one thing that we forget as a society a lot is our hydration. And so can you speak into that and what you recommend for your clients who aren't getting enough water in their day?
Absolutely. My rule of thumb is just drink half your weight. So if you're 150 pounds, drink 75 ounces of water or fluid during the day. Easy way to remember. Also, another way is actually to take a look at what you're excreting in the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay? The paler the color, the more hydration you have in your body.
Yeah, yeah. You know what we say in the music world for vocalists? Clear urine, clear voice.
There you go.
Yeah.
A lot of truth.
Because, hydration affects everything in the body, the voice, the vocal cords, the movement of the joints.
Sure. A simple headache
Right.
can be lack of water. Okay. Or just a lack of sharpness, being alert. That can be from lack of hydration.
Right.
So our body is 70% water as it is, so it's so important to hydrate. Hydrate all the time.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to get into more topics with you. And again, we're going to have some more podcasts following this one, so be sure to stay tuned. Joining us, Kerrin Going, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Matthew.